Okay. Goodness. Okay. All right. Good to see all the lovely faces and all the names to all the people who are, staying suspicious. That works for me too. Um, okay. And then what we'll do is we'll just kind of, so first of all, I'm gonna let, so Alina's gonna be here. She's gonna be helping me kind of putting you guys into um, for the chat. If you guys have questions or anything like that, just put them in the chat and then I'll try my best to answer some of your questions. There's going to be a lot of content that we're going to cover today, so a lot of content. And yes, so the recording will be available. And then, yep, so we're going to be recording this, and then the recording will be available for you kind of to watch later on. Um, what else is there? Just some housekeeping things. Um, yeah, if you have questions, try to save them for later towards the end. I'm going to do my best to try to answer all of the questions in the talk. So within the talk should pretty much cover and answer all of your questions that you may have. And and we'll and then if you have anything that is unanswered, then you can shoot those questions towards the end. The likelihood of us going over time is going to be pretty high. There's a lot of content that I'm trying to dish out, and I'm trying to keep it as light as possible. Um, and and we can kind of go from there. So let's see. Let's see. So first of all, yeah, let's just get started. Um, so first of all, thank you everybody for coming to attend today. I really this has been a topic that's been I've been um yeah, I'm just going to speak freely because the only way for me to talk about this is to speak freely. For the past 3 years, I've been getting downloads about you know about why we're here, why patients, what are we doing on this planet. Um, some very, very big drips and downloads of information as far as to what's going on with the state of the planet, what's going on with the earth, what's going on with, the lots of the spiritual matters. So um, the also one of the biggest concerns that I had start when I was doing, since I've been doing teaching Qigong and also doing acupuncture, one of the biggest concerns I had was always that certain people weren't healing. And that always frustrated me. And I always tried to find ways to pinpoint as to why people weren't healing and why they were struggling to heal, and why at the very best, what we were able to do is only provide some form of symptom relief with the care that we're providing, and never really have gotten to the point where we can kind of achieve healing. Healing meaning that healing is a steady, the way I define healing is a little bit different from what others, but healing is a steady progression towards getting better, better and better. Most of the symptoms, so I'm going to talk about a little bit here, but I'll also cover it in the talk. Sorry, there's so much information in my head right now, so I'm just a little jittery. I'm about to explode with not information. So, all right, so within the body, what I recognize is that in order for us to heal, what we're looking at is the way medicine looks at healing tends to be more from a masculine approach, which is a car parts. You have a shoulder issue, well, it's the shoulder issue. A back issue, it's a back issue. A digestive issue, it's a digestive issue. And so they hone in on that. We hone in on that, and then we treat just that. But over the years, I begin to recognize that the body is not a masculine approach. In order to achieve healing, we have to observe the body from a feminine approach, meaning that everything within the body is connected. It's like a very complex web. where if you move one thing, so if I move one thing, everything else will move with it. And everything from your emotions to your mental state to your, you know, your relationships, your finances, to how you think about yourself. All of these things influence whether you achieve healing or not. And it became a very, very, very complex issue. And over the years, I started to begin to recognize that the formula for healing, or to, in order for the formula to achieve healing, is the same. The formula is when we heal the spirit, then the body follows suit. Okay, so when we heal the spirit, the body follows suit. And when that happens, now here's the thing. Now we have to start looking at the question and breaking it down. Well, what does healing the spirit look like? And what is the spirit? How do we define the spirit? Um, and we're gonna do a we're gonna get into it. So what I found is that over the years, certain people just weren't healing regardless of their best efforts. But in order for me to cover some of these topics, I have to hone in on covering some of these more specific things. All right, so let's see. All right, enough of me jabbering. Let's just get to it. So we're gonna do, am I recording? I am recording. There we go. So let's do a screen share. Let's get started. All right. So, oop, nope. Move this over. Okay, so can everybody see this just fine? Okay, perfect. Um, so the talk today is on the soul's path to healing. Right? So just to let everybody know I'm recording this, and then I'm going to use this for marketing and also for educational purposes. Everything that I'm going to talk about in this talk today lays the groundwork or the foundation for everything that I offer. All the services that I offer, whether it be Qigong, spiritual development coaching, whether it be acupuncture, my approach comes from a spiritual perspective. And so all this content here will be used as the groundwork for everything that I offer. And I base everything that I do, all of my services, based around these ideas and these concepts. And so when patients come in, if they're like, oh, I have this issue, it's not that. We tend to cover a more holistic approach and really look at the whole person, what they're going through, and look at, everything. Really look at everything. Okay, so let's get into this. So my name is Peng Ronher. I'm a licensed acupuncturist. I'm a medical intuitive, and I'm also a master of Qigong. So I've been teaching Qigong since 2007. I started learning martial arts at age 13, and then I went public with my abilities back in 2006. And then I started teaching Qigong in 2007. Now, the funny story is I never wanted to teach Qigong or spiritual development. Never, right? Um, I never wanted to teach spiritual development. I practiced Qigong and achieved enlightenment. Jokes, maybe. And then I got to a space where I was like, whoa, I felt the presence of being one with all, one with everything. And I was like, whoa, this is amazing. Um, I felt a connection with the trees, with the grass, with the squirrels, the rabbits. Like when I walked in the park, I felt that connection there. There was like this string, invisible strings of connection to everything that is. Like, this is amazing. And then the universe says, Tag, taps me on the shoulders. Tag, we need you to teach this. I'm like, no, no, hell no. And then the universe tends to do a little thing where it kind of, you work for the mob. So you have to pay your protection fees. And so now I'm paying my protection fees, which is I'm teaching people about spiritual development. So I never intended to teach spirituality. I never to teach or talk about this stuff. I just wanted to practice it, achieve it, and then use it for my own selfish reasons. But here I am teaching about it. So, and there we go. So I've been practicing acupuncture since 2011. And once I started practicing acupuncture, I noticed certain themes that kept coming up. I started to realize that the body was much more complex than I thought, and that treating the spirit required some life coaching. All right. So it's education piece, I went to military school, I got my bachelor's and then my master's in acupuncture and oriental medicine. I'm going to go a little bit into some accreditation. So in order to become a licensed acupuncturist, you had to go through a couple exams, take quite a few tests, and then get certified, pass the NCCOM board certification, get certified by the NCCOM, and then from there, you submit your certification towards the Minnesota to your state board medical license, and then they give you the license to practice. So, I'm a licensed acupuncturist. So I'm going to cover into traditional Chinese medicine. So traditional Chinese medicine is over 3,000 years old. And is one of the main services that I use to help my patients. And so traditional Chinese medicine is a whole system of personalized medicine with an emphasis of wellness, prevention, and health maintenance. The idea behind traditional Chinese medicine is really what we're doing is we're trying to prevent things. We see things and notice them at the more subtle level, and then we make those corrections prior to them turning into something else. So as an acupuncturist, I've solved problems you don't know you have in ways you don't understand. Yeah, in ways you can't understand. And this is true because what we're looking for is in traditional Chinese medicine, what we're looking for is we're checking the tongue, the pulse, and also we just kind of ask questions about how your symptoms are going on. So there isn't no blood work, lab work, nothing like that. We look at your tongue, your pulse. We ask about your symptoms, ask for your sleep, ask about your menstrual cycle, ask about your libido, ask about simple things. And then from those things, those symptoms that those questions that we ask you, it gives us an idea as to what problems are occurring within the body, which organ systems are affected, and then we address those organ systems based upon the meridian systems that are laid within the body. All right, so let's just go back real quick. So when it comes to traditional Chinese medicine, what we're doing is we're really aiming to correct within the body. We have what I consider hardware and then software. The physical body is the hardware, and then the software is the programming that is influencing the hardware. And so when we're looking at treating the energetics, we are treating the software, which affects the hardware. All right. So this is the thing with traditional Chinese medicine that's a little bit more different. It's also different for some of the Qigong that I offer as well. So what we're doing is we're looking to address the subtle body, or also known as the spirit body, through traditional Chinese medicine and also through Qigong. All right. So through traditional Chinese medicine, we offer acupuncture, cupping, herbal medicine, and moxibustion. We also do Tuina, or Chinese massage, Huasha, and they also teach Qigong, Tai Chi, and also meditation. These are all under the scope of traditional Chinese medicine. So then we go into Qigong. Okay. So Qigong is an ancient breathing and moving exercise that predates Tai Chi and derives movements from ancient practices of shamanism. So it's a breathing exercises that were used by the shamans before Tai Chi. There were shamans and they would go into trance, and when they went to the trance, they would channel energy into the body in order to heal others and whatnot, to do rites or ceremonies. And then what they did was they started to the shamans or the practitioners started to take these exercises and then start to practice it individually. And then they started teaching it to people. Once they started teaching it to people, they started noticing that lots of effects were starting to, that the health became a side effect. So it's interesting because the idea is you're using these practices which channels spiritual energy into the body. And then from there, you get healthier. And so this is the this is the foundation of Qigong. All right, so yes. So these are some of the things that I treat. Um, uh, I'm just kind of move through some of these things, but really for me, the thing that really drives me the most is spiritual transformation. The idea is to get people to begin to connect to themselves or to connect to a higher power within themselves. And I begin to recognize that this is when healing can happen. And this is how healing happens. All right, so let's go into some of this and then we'll kind of go. So do you have physical symptoms that won't go away? Right? So insomnia, interrupted sleep, depression, anxiety, panic attacks, heartburn, fatigue, head pressure, headaches, vertigo, dizziness, unexplained nausea, night sweats, vivid dreams, or other unexplained symptoms or mysterious symptoms that won't go away no matter what you throw at it. So, or you have an overall sense of unease without anything you can point to and your lab results are normal. You change your habits, your nutrition, your supplements. You used all sorts of complementary and alternative medicine therapies, got results even though you're compliant, and are now experiencing diminished returns, or at best, you're only able to manage the symptoms. Okay? So perhaps the care that you're getting is addressing everything else except for the spirit, more specifically, a misalignment of the soul's evolution. Okay? And if this is the case, perhaps it's a spiritual issue, an issue that requires the understanding of the human spirit and the evolution of the soul. So let me go back to this real quick. So I began to recognize that healing the body is not separate from the spirit, not separate from the soul. And so when we start to really look at the soul's evolution, that's when, and we really start to address that. Not from me, right? I'm just kind of guiding people. Then the body starts to correct itself. So healing the spirit heals the body. All right. So how do we heal the spirit? This is a very complex situation, but yes, so many healers talk about healing the spirit, but how do we heal the spirit? Is there a process to it? And is it measurable? If so, what metrics do we use? How do we determine progress? And what does healing the spirit look like? All right. When you're going to healing is a spiritual journey. So healing is a spiritual journey, a continuous process of personal transformation, requiring multiple deaths and rebirths. And it can't be done without connecting to source, without getting in alignment to source, or without your intuition. In order for healing to occur, we need to connect to a higher power, right? So today we're going to explore what's happening in the planet right now on a spiritual level. We're going to cover the soul's evolution, the probability of us living in a simulation, how to identify when the spirit needs healing, how to go about healing the spirit when you tried everything else to no avail. Okay, so who is this talk for? So this talk is for everybody who's tried, so those who've tried everything, are compliant, got results, and now are experiencing diminishing returns, healers, healthcare practitioners, and seekers of truth from all backgrounds of healing, those embarking a spiritual awakening, those whom are looking for some clarity to their spiritual afflictions, and those who are seeking to explore why we suffer, why we're here, and how to better navigate the obstacles of life. So who is this talk for? Everybody, right? Those who are just for some clarification, those who've tried complementary and alternative medicine, so chiropractic, massage, nutrition, acupuncture, energy medicine, and those who tried personal development and self-improvement, such as yoga, tai chi, qigong, meditation, and other self-help tools. Okay. So over the years, I've begun to recognize that there is an ideal client for healing, and that this is the pyramid and then without these pieces, you can't achieve healing. At best, what you're doing is you're simply getting some symptom relief or some pain management, and that's really about it. So first is, at the very foundation, we need to check your nutrition. What are you eating? Because what you're consuming is fueling your cells, fueling your body, your mind, and your spirit. So at the very foundation, we need to check and look at your nutrition. Now, without correcting your nutrition, we cannot. So without this pyramid, we can't heal the spirit. Okay. So, because a lot of people they'll come and they'll ask me like, "Well, Peng, I have a spiritual issue." I was like, "Well, have you changed your diet? Do you have physical activity in play? Do you have mental fortitude and an attitude of gratitude? Are you practicing forgiveness? Do you have a spiritual practice? If you don't have these things, then is it truly a spiritual issue?" So we have to address these issues first. We have to address from the ground up, which is nutrition, physical activity, mental fortitude, or attitude of gratitude, right? Forgiveness, and then spiritual practices. Over the years, I started to recognize that even some patients who came in and they had all of these things in place, if they didn't practice forgiveness, good luck. It doesn't work. If you don't practice forgiving yourself, if you don't practice giving others, then the body will continue to reset back, and then you will have these physical conditions that just won't go away. And you can throw everything at it, it will stay the same. So what I find is that I want to encourage everybody to understand this, and I can't overemphasize it enough. Forgiveness is powerful medicine. Okay. Again, forgiveness is powerful medicine. Now, here's the thing with forgiveness. There are some people you might not be able to forgive, and that's okay. I had this particular situation where there was someone I could not forgive. And then my guides were like, "Yo, Peng, you don't need to forgive him. You just need to start." And I said, "Okay, I can start." And the moment I started to forgive, then that's when all these physical symptoms start to happen, and I had all kinds of things released from my body. Okay. And then I added a couple things to this foundation. Added detoxification. So we need to find ways to detox the body. So whether that be colonics, from fasting, intermittent fasting, juicing, to coffee enemas, to any kind of liver detox or liver flush. These detox protocols are going to be critical throughout the entire journey to help detox the body. We are now more exposed. Today, we are exposed to more harmful chemicals than ever before. And without detoxification, the body will not heal. There's too many toxins in the body, too much gunk in the way. And so at best, it's like running with ankle weights. So detoxification helps alleviate, opens up the detox pathways to allow your body to eliminate toxins from the body, which will help with healing. You can take supplements all day, but if you have a ton of, for myself, I had mercury poisoning, I still do. And as I'm beginning to alleviate some of this mercury poisoning, I'm beginning to notice that I need less food because now my body can absorb more nutrients. So there's less stuff in the way. So detoxification is going to be very important. All right. And I also added biohacking. So when we talk about biohacking, we're looking at hyperbaric chamber. We're looking at red light therapy. We're looking at cold showers, cold plunges, things like this, which help with getting getting everything moving. This is for optimization. So this is my new list for healing. You kind of have to do all the things these days. Okay, so if you tried everything or are trying everything, so again, if you've had all these pieces and you're trying everything, then there are some perspectives that I would like to introduce to you today. All right. All right. So let's talk about how the spirit world communicates to us. All right. Because in order for this to work, I really just got to be myself. Right. So we all have guides, angels, whatever you want to label them as. We all have some form of spiritual support that's constantly aiding us and supporting us along our journey as being a human being. And so how the spirit world communicates to us is through synchronicity, meaning that you'll start to see things line up. We can call them coincidences. So things in life will start to appear, you need something, and then all of a sudden something shows up. You're having troubles with something, and then someone with the tool or the exact thing that you need shows up and to help you move out of that, to be unstuck. So the spirit world communicates through others, meaning that sometimes you'll be in the bathroom. Like for myself, I was in the bathroom. I had a problem I was trying to solve, and then there were two guys in there talking, and they were talking about the solution to my problem. And then I was just like, and then they walk out just mind blown, like that's just hilarious, and I solved my problem. So we begin to see that this is how spirit communicates to us, right? Um, during deep states of meditation. So you can do, this is where practices such as Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, meditation, prayer will help you receive these messages. A lot of times it's because there are so many things that are obstructed, just like the mind is too busy. And so then when the mind is too busy, there's too much clutter. So you are not in a position to receive information from your spiritual support. And so during deep state meditation allows you to clear the clutter away, and then you can receive more information, right? Because they're constantly talking to us, guiding us at all times, whether you realize it or not. So through dreams or through visions. So um, you'll have dreams, prophetic dreams. Now, lately, I'm pretty sure everybody who, if you're in here listening to this right now, I'm pretty sure the past few months have been very interesting, and you're probably having very, very lucid, very, very vivid dreams. And you're probably having difficulty falling asleep, or you're waking at odd hours in the middle of the night, maybe 2 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock, right? So, and you're waking up from very profound dreams, having conversations, or having some form of closure with people that are you haven't seen for a long time. And so this is how spirit communicates to us. They want us to resolve a lot of these internal issues. And then during your alone time or your periods of isolation. So during your alone time, meaning that when you get up in the morning, for myself, it happens a lot in the morning when I'm up. I'm just kind of doing my morning routine, brushing teeth, just kind of going about my day. Then a lot of the conversations that occur within my mind are just occurring. And a lot of these thoughts, I'm like, that's too smart to be me, because you're putting ideas, we're receiving information. And so it's during your alone time or your periods of isolation. And this is also why some people, they take time. This is why spiritual people or people who are religious, they take pilgrimages, or um, they go sit in a cave for meditation, or they walk away from friends and family and they go hermit for a while, because they need to do this for their own healing journey. And it may look weird to other people, or like just completely out of character. But at the same time, the period of isolation is the most critical piece in order to instigate healing. And so, yes. All right. So, and then there's telepathic communication or visions or thoughts. So oh gosh, yeah. When we receive information, a lot of the times the conversations that are occurring in the mind are, uh, it, well, some of them, when you can tell when they're not so nice, the voices that are very self-destructive, we can also call them negative intrusive thoughts. And so the idea is when you have a spiritual practice, you are eliminating these thoughts, and that's when you can get the good ones to come in. But if you're surrounded by but if you're constantly being bombarded by negative intrusive thoughts, then you need to have a practice in play. But yes, they communicate, the spirit world communicates through thoughts, visions, and telepathic communication. All right, so we're going to go into telepathic communication a little bit, because this is kind of, over the years that I started to recognize that this is kind of how spirit really does communicate to us. It's like, oh gosh, let me stop screen share real quick. Um, so recognize that telepathic communication is a very like, I think we're not going to see it maybe in my lifetime, but telepathic communication is where two minds are having conversations. And so when one mind talks with another mind, one mind asks a question, the other mind sends the question, the other mind receives the question, And then the mind, then both minds are speaking or seeking or communicating from a superposition to where both minds are in complete understanding of each other. There's no physical veil, no physical uh, container to dilute the message or anything like that. The mind, the intentions, the thoughts are all seen, right? And so that conversation is happening in a very complex, it's a very complex conversation that's being spoken, received, heard, experienced. And then if the other mind wants to give an influence or wants to give a perspective on it, the mind that is receiving will also see that perspective from that person's perspective and theirs at the same time. So telepathic communication is speed. Um, that's how it's shown to me, and it's fascinating. So let's go back into, hopefully, there we go. You can see where this conversation is going to get super interesting. All right. So, um, so for the past 3 years, I've been getting 5 divine messages. At first, it started with 3, and now they're up to 5. We'll see if it gets any longer than that. Hopefully, we'll stick to 5. So first is we live in a simulation. Second one is everyone is on a spiritual journey, whether they realize it or not. Divine message number 3 is the purpose of life is character development. Number 4 is the body is a tuning fork for the divine. Number 5 is we are the AI of the physical realm. Right? And then we're going to go into each of these. First, we're going to go into we live in a simulation. Okay. So how it's been shown to me was through science, through spirituality or metaphysics, and also through near-death experiences. Let's dive into that. So we live in a simulation, right? So theoretical physicists, quantum physicists, philosophers, cosmologists, and mathematicians theorize and speak to finding evidence of us living in some kind of computer-generated system. Now they use the language computer-generated system because at this time, this is what we kind of have that is best can mimic or explain the reality that we're living in. And then here's the movie The Matrix, of course, which really opened the eyes for the public. And I think, yeah, the Matrix series is profound. And then here is, if you're interested in diving deeper, this is Nick Bostrom. He wrote the simulation argument back in 2003. And when he wrote this article, when he wrote his paper, it basically spearheaded a lot of the scientist community to start looking into reality as being some form of simulation. And if you want to go a little bit further, these are the 2 documentaries that I watched on YouTube. Lee Irwin wrote these 2. One is the What is Reality? And then Are We in a Simulation? So you can check these 2 out. Yeah, profound. It's profound. We'll move on. There's one of the books I recommend is The Holographic Universe by Michael Tappert. He combines science, theory, metaphysics, and also theology, just explaining about what reality is. And it's definitely a good book to check out if you want to go deeper. So you're going to see me throw a bunch of books across the way because these are great books. So I'm pulling everything from everywhere. And the one who probably blew my mind the most is this guy, Rizvan Work. Rizvan Work. So he did a talk at Google, and he talks about the simulation hypothesis. And so he's a coder or a game designer. And we started talking about, anyways, it's fantastic. I'm not going to nerd too much about it, but check him out. He does a talk on Google talking about the simulation hypothesis and how he came to put all this stuff together. So he's great talk. So we live in a simulation. There are codes and programs that are operating within us and all around us at all times, both seen and unseen. Okay? So just take time to think about it for a little bit. Why are you Left-handed versus right-handed, right-handed versus left-handed. Why do you like the things that you like? Why do you dislike the things that you like? Right? Why are some things, when you start to ask these questions, why I am the way I am, these are all different codes within us and programs. And when you begin to understand and start questioning yourself in order to know thyself, that's when you begin to understand that hey, there's a lot of programs in play. Which programs are working for me and which programs are working against me. And typically all the programs that are working against you is what's preventing you from healing. Okay. So, however, I believe that there's much purpose to all of this, and much of it isn't random. Okay. And then we're going to look into ancient cultures that speak to us living in an illusion. So first is in Hinduism, they describe the illusion of living in a dream as the Maya. And in Buddhism, they refer to it as the samsara. It's a cycle of reincarnation, birth, death, and rebirth. And yeah, and it's driven by attachment and ignorance. This one's my favorite. So Taoism speaks to the illusion of the material world and the distraction it poses as being caught in the web of 10,000 things. It's profound. The idea is that we're here in some sort of a dream world, and there are all these attachments attached to us, right? All the programs, your belief systems, the things you like, the things you don't like, your biology, the physical avatar that you are embodying. And Taoism, yes. And then in ancient Greek philosophy, the illusion is described to as Plato's allegory of the cave. I'm going to go into next slide. Let's switch this off real quick. Play this video real quick. Let's see.
Ping, we're not hearing the sound, or at least not on my end. Ping, can you hear? Okay, I'll text.
Here real quick. So that's Plato's allegory of the cave. Let's move on to the next.
Ping, we didn't have the sound on that one. The earphone.
You guys didn't have this.
No sound, no.
Oh no. Boo. That's okay. I'll link it in the chat. Thank you, Lena. She said something. All right. Where was I? Okay. Well, we'll switch back. Okay, so that's Plato's Allegory of the Cave, talking about. I'll put it in. I'll put it in the. Yeah, we'll put it in there somewhere. So then the next piece is going to be near-death experiences. Now, when near-death, so once I started looking into was guided into looking at near-death experiences, this is when things started to get way more profound. Um, so there are a couple books that you can check out. I'll have a couple more in the list, but I've read The Proof of Heaven. I've yet to read Life After Life. There's also another book called Many Lives, Many Masters that you can definitely check out if you want to dive deeper. But okay, so near-death experiences. So when people experience near-death experiences, they have an outer body experience, and from there they begin to have so near-death experiences tend to happen right in the hospital settings where on the operation table, uh, something like this, and then the person is determined or deemed clinically dead, and they leave the physical body, but then they're still they can experience and hear conversations and everything else like this. So then they begin to experience, yeah, so they have an outer body experience. They experience intense emotions, and they experience, and these are all the accounts, traveling to some form of a tunnel or a bright light. And when they travel through a bright tunnel, let me go back. When they travel through the tunnel, they are either greeted by Jesus, by Buddha, by Krishna, or by family members, and they're given, yes. And from there, they also experience enhanced senses or an expanded awareness, meaning that they have an experience that is a 360-degree panoramic perspective of the world because they are no longer encapsulated by the physical body. So if they think about a family member, then the moment they think about a family member, they're there. The moment they think about a location, they're there because they have left the physical body. So whereas we were still in the physical body, so in order for us to get to a certain destination, we have to move the body in order to get to a certain place. But once there's no more physical body, everything happens at the speed of thought. And then they are also, when they experience a near-death experience, they also experience a life review. Okay. Now, this is where it gets very interesting because when they have a life review, the they are given as the soul is given, hey, when you went to Earth, these are your objectives. Here, let me stop screen share real quick. When you went to Earth, these are your objectives. You're going to do these things, these things, these things, these things. And they're basically telling you, so basically the life review that's given to you is really your higher self or your higher soul, right? And so within us, we have the little conscience that speaks to us, that tells us, hey, don't do that, do this. When you're about to do something that's not so good in nature, there is a voice that tells you, don't do that, right? It kind of guilts you, shames you, it gets all very Catholic-like. That voice is the higher self. And so at the end of the life, everyone is given a life review. Okay. Let's go back to share. Are we sharing again? Yes, we are. And then there's also a pre-birth plan, right? So this is a great book. If you want to dive a little bit deeper into this, is The Soul's Plan. So discovering the real meaning of the life you planned before you were born. So according to the pre-birth plan, Earth is a school for the soul's evolution. Okay, this is where it gets deep, right? Let me stop share. So, according to the pre-birth plan, Earth is a school for the soul's evolution. So, for those of us who are here, whereas we are in this physical body, I like the way that the pranic healing labels us as this. This is Peng, the physical avatar, or the incarnate soul, and then the soul sent me to as an investment to help with the soul's evolution. Okay, so here is so when you go to Earth, everyone has a pre-birth plan, right? We can call it predetermined or whatever the case may be. So let me see if I can. So when you go to Earth, I'm going to go and I'm going to have these experiences. Sorry, let me go back and forth. This is going uh, so when we come to Earth, we're here to balance our karma, switch roles, learn lessons, evolve the soul, and essentially finish school and end the cycle of reincarnation. So there is a lesson plan in play, and many of the challenges we face, partners we choose, health challenges, mishaps, and unfortunate events we experience are all part of the pre-birth plan. Okay? Stop share here. So this is where it gets very, very big. And when you begin to look at yourself, and so when you begin to look at a lot of your challenges, all of the obstacles that you're experiencing, especially the big, big ones, right? All of these obstacles, whether you like them or not, because trust me, I didn't like hearing this message either, is that the obstacles are part of the gift. So they told me that the obstacle is the gift. Okay, so let me explain it like this. Here's how it's shown to me. They said when you go to Earth, everyone who comes to Earth is supposed to bring gifts to Earth, gifts of heaven onto Earth. You go to Earth, I'm going to bring this gift, right? This gift, this gift, this gift, this gift, this gift, right? But in order to incarnate on Earth, the soul has, and because we live in duality, every time you decide that there's a gift, there's an obstacle, an obstacle, an obstacle, an obstacle. So with each gift of heaven that you bring onto Earth, there's an obstacle, and the obstacle is the gift. Okay? So no matter what challenges that you're experiencing, whether they be health, relationship, finances, whether it be whatever the case may be, right? Every soul comes here to bring their gift of heaven onto Earth, and they have to go through the obstacle because the obstacle is what provides lessons. Because again, Earth is a school. So you go through the obstacles, you undergo character development, you learn the lessons from the obstacle, and then you bring your gift of heaven onto Earth. All right? So that's the soul's plan. Every one of us is here to bring a piece or a couple of pieces of heaven onto Earth. And so when we fail to do so, then the obstacle crushes us. And that's why we have many health issues. Okay? So regardless of what you're experiencing, I get it. Yeah. I've had lots of gifts, apparently. Good Lord. Gifts that just keep on giving. So so as I go through the obstacles and access the gift, this is one of my gifts, by the way. So as you go through the obstacles and undergo the character development, you are bringing that piece of heaven onto Earth. So everyone's job is to bring, all the soul's job is to bring heaven onto Earth. Okay? Lessons they just keep on giving. All right. Let's put this. Okay. So then we go into the question I asked was, well, then what does this mean for free will? Because who has say, right? Do I really have say in my free will? And so they showed me this. They said, depending, there's a hierarchy for free will. First, at the tippy top is God or creator. And then there's higher self or the higher soul. And then there's you, the incarnate soul. And really, at the end of the day, when it comes to free will, the one who has the most say is creator. And we are all part of creator's plan. The plan is to bring heaven on earth. Okay. And where free will is interesting because we can kind of get into some of this too. For those of you who ever want to like sit down and do another Zoom call and talk about free will. Free will is interesting because the higher soul picks the soul. When you incarnate, you pick your parents, you pick the time, you pick what life experiences you're going to have. All of these experiences, all of these experiences was picked, right? You can hear kids said, "Hey, mommy, hey, daddy, I picked you," right? So it is the soul that chooses to incarnate into this physical body. All right, let's go back. Where are we in time? Okay. All right, so there's a couple books that speak to us, Earth being a school for the soul. Neil Donald Walsh, definitely check out his books if you are interested in going deeper. These books definitely helped me out when I was going through my roughest patches, conversations with God, because I was trying to understand what the heck is all of this going on. Why is there so much suffering? Um, Conversations with God was very good. There's another book talking about Earth being a school for the soul, Many Lives, Many Masters. This is also a very good book. And then there are books by Dolores Cannon, The Convoluted Universe. So a lot of the books that she put out there talking about how Earth is a school and we have lessons to learn and we're here to do all these specific things. Dolores Cannon put out a lot of great work out there. Okay, so we live in a simulation. And there are ancient cultures that speak to us living in an illusion. And then there are near-death experiences to speak to us having a pre-birth plan. So coming to Earth, there is a plan. Yeah, okay. So we live in a simulation. So we'll move into divine message number 2. So everyone is on a spiritual journey, whether they realize it or not. The fact that you're here for growth. You're here as an investment from the higher soul. Let me just switch back and forth. You're here from the higher soul as an investment to evolve not only yourself, but also to evolve the higher soul, right? And then in fourth, at the same time, you are also here to evolve creator. All of us are here to lift all of the collective consciousness through our own individual evolution. So who was it said? Was it Rumi said, be the change that you want to see? So we're all here on earth to have a spiritual journey. And divine message number 3 is the purpose of life is character development. Okay, the purpose of life is character development. So this message was profound because the first time I heard it from Jordan Peterson. This is my internet dad. Uh, First time I heard it because I was thinking about, wow, what is the purpose of life? And then I was listening to his stuff on YouTube, just marathoning through, and he said the purpose of life is character development. And just from there, my mind was blown. I thought about Oh my gosh, yeah, that makes sense. All of this makes sense. And you think about when we come here as a soul, well, where you are the main character, right? So your story, everybody has a story. You're the main character in your story. And in order for character development to happen, and with the books that are good and interesting, they have to go through through what's called a hero's journey. And so if you choose to stay the same, then there will be no growth. And so then the soul chooses to stop investing. Okay. All right. So this is how to explain this because this is so complex. All right. The soul is an infinite being. It's nothing but infinite possibilities. And in order to have an experience and in order to evolve, the soul has to limit itself into us, the physical avatar, in order to have a limited experience of the world. And it's through that limitation that allows us to have experiences and perspectives that allows that when we leave the physical body, that information goes back to evolve the soul. So when I heard that the purpose of life is character development by Jordan Peterson, it's just, yeah, it was profound. And because I was thinking about it, let me go back. Um, and then 2 weeks or so after hearing him talk about the purpose of life is character development, I went to a restaurant and then here was my fortune cookie. I kid you not. My fortune cookie says, character development is the true aim of education. Again, Earth is a school. So we're here to undergo character development. Yeah, yeah. Talk about synchronicity. Yeah, the world is strange, but it's interesting, strange. Okay, then we go into the three pillars. The universe chops away at one or more of these pillars to instigate character development. Okay, so there are three pillars that the universe chops away at: your relationships, your finances, and your physical health. Of these three pillars, you can't stay the same. It is part of Greek creator's plan for us to evolve and grow. You must evolve and grow, or there will be lots of suffering. And so, of these three pillars, one will be made of uh, like the three little pigs. One will be made of straw, one will be made of sticks, and then one will be made of bricks. And depending upon where your life is at that moment in time, one of these things will be chipped away at continuously until you choose to grow, right? And then we'll move into divine message number 4. The body is a tuning fork for the divine. I hope everybody's okay with this so far. Okay. So the body is a tuning fork for the divine. Anytime we aren't in alignment with our highest self or our purpose, physical ailments begin to occur. Okay. Signs and symptoms are always subtle at first, then they worsen over time. Diseases do not occur overnight. Okay. And this is where traditional Chinese medicine comes into play. Other Also same thing with Ayurveda and other alternative and complementary medicines where we are looking at more of the subtle body and the subtleties. When cancer doesn't show up out of nowhere. First, cancer shows up before cancer shows. Well, first of all, we have cancer everywhere, right? Let's just make that very clear. By the time people go in and they get tested for it, it's already been big. But typically, you'll start to notice signs and symptoms, meaning affecting your sleep, affecting your digestive system, affecting your mood. All of these things, which are more subtle and more small symptom-based related, they begin to accrue and accumulate over time, and then something like this happens. It starts energetically and then happens to manifest physically. Okay. So then we go into what's called the body conscious. So the body has its own consciousness, an intelligence which is almost devoid of our conscious influence. As your mind has memory, your body has an even stronger sense of memory. The body retains memory at lengths to which our minds cannot. Cellular memory carries within it an intelligence that is beyond the intellect. Okay? Just want you to think about this. Okay? Because when people are looking, when we're talking about healing, it's so complex. All of the genetic code within you, not only are you trying to heal, let's not go too deep into that. Your eyes, your nose, if we were to ask you what your ancestors look like, you would have no idea. No idea. But when you look in the mirror, we have the eyes of our ancestors, the skin, even even their hair color, even some of their personality traits. So the same way that we breed dogs, now I'm equating us to dogs, yes, for personality traits. Certain dogs go for hunting, certain dogs are put in little purses, whatever, right? Certain animals have certain personality traits. So depending upon where your ancestral origins come from, those not only have the physical characteristics, you also have the characteristics of those people, of those individuals. So the body holds a tremendous amount of information. Yeah. And so we think, oh, this is my personality. Well, is it? This is just who I am. Well, is it? Or is it part of your ancestry? Okay. Just want you to marinate on that a little bit. Okay. So the body is, there are more complicated activities occurring within the body than the mind. Most of it is unconscious. This is the intelligence of cellular memory. So the things that you think, the things that you believe, why do you believe them? Right. It really makes you take a look at yourself from such a different perspective. And when you can dissect yourself in such a way, this is when you can start to understand that the body has its own consciousness, the body has its own mind. Okay. So what does this have to do with my symptoms, right? How does healing the spirit help me? We're going to be a little bit more practical with some of these things. Why does the spirit need healing, and how does it manifest on the body? Okay. And then for those of you who are more interested in this, there's another book called The Body Keeps Score. This is a great book that talks about how the body stores trauma. And so we are responding to the world based upon our life experiences, whether you realize them or not, whether they are repressed and you don't know about them, or whether you do know about them. And so when we can begin to address the originating source points to where traumas occurred, then the body will start to heal itself. All right, the body conscious. So within each of us is a community of identities. All the different roles that we play: brother, sister, student, father, mother, cousin, uh, professional. Right? We are very complex. Our personalities are very, very complex, right? So not only we have personalities that influence us from our genetic code, from our ancestry, we also have influences. Our who we are is also made up of our life experiences, our traumas, our wounds, our different perspectives, our belief systems, our philosophical systems, who we're grown, who we're up around, the time that we're in, the era that we're born in, whether if you grew up religious or not, right? All of these identities, your parents, what they did to influence you, everything, you are composed of a very complex series of identities. So each identity within us has a say, and they're influencing our every decision, conscious or unconscious, whether you realize it or not. Every single choice that you make, conscious or unconscious, is influenced by so many variables, so many circumstances. And when you take time to understand this, that's when I say, well, do you truly have free will? Right? Okay, so let's go into the body conscious. So let's take a look at past to present. So say, so there's a 3-year-old, right? This is all of us. Well, just for the sake of demonstration, we're just gonna throw some age gaps up there. It's 3-year-old version of us, 5-year-old, 9-year-old, 13-year-old, 16-year-old, and then there's today, present, right? A 3-year-old has an experience. Maybe their parents divorced. Maybe they fell off a bike. Something happened. Some form of trauma, whether they be minor or major, influences or shatters, causes an originating point for the body. And at age 5, something else happens. At age 9, something else happens. 13, 16, and then today, present. So over time, when there are enough experiences that happen in the body, there is a shattering to the body, shattering to the spirit. Okay? So every trauma or significant transition in your life causes a shattering of the incarnate soul, the spirit. And this is why we need to heal the spirit. Okay? From there, it is from trauma, right? It sets in traumas, it influences negative beliefs, influences negative thoughts, influences negative self-talk. It begins to manifest as physical ailments and physical symptoms. Again, this is all the stuff that doesn't show in the lab work, that doesn't go away, and you keep treating it, and then it doesn't go away. These are all coming from life experiences or damages to the spirit, right? From there, because you have all of these conditions, you are unconscious to the different voices in your mind, different voices in the body, subtly influencing and swaying every single decision and behavior, which leads to poor habits. And so people tend to have more negative habits that just show up. Right? They say, oh, this is just who I am. Well, is it? Right? And it leads to a victim mindset. And from there, this is where a lot of the issues start to stem from. And this is where a lot of the healing cannot occur. All right. So we'll call these wounded identities. So each of these wounded identities consume life force from the body. Every one of them, every life experience you had, every originating source you had, every trauma that you experienced, whether somebody called you ugly, whether somebody punched you in the face, you got bullied, somebody did whatever, right? Your parents divorced, or it can be extreme as fleeing war, sexual abuse. All of these things shatter the spirit, shatter the body. And so no matter how we treat the body, if we do not address the wounds of the spirit, the body won't heal. The body just won't heal. Let me stop the screen share real quick. All of these wounded aspects of ourselves, these wounded identities, these shatterings of the spirit, they all consume life support, which is you. You are the main life support. So until we address them individually, right, whether it be through therapy, whether it be through somatic movements, breathing exercises, things like Tai Chi, Qigong, whether it be through nutrition, right? Let's knock that pyramid out of the way first. Whether it be through EMDR. All of these stored traumas and identities are trapped within the body. And they are all consuming life force. Every single one of them is on life support. And the older you get, the less life force you have. And then that's when all of these physical symptoms start to come out of nowhere. And you can keep treating them, keep treating them, keep treating them, and you just won't go away. What we're doing is we're at best staving them off and providing some form of symptom relief, but the goal is to eventually transform them, right? And this is why healing the spirit requires addressing these issues. It's not just doing meditation and aromatherapy and walks in the park and being out in nature as a form of no. Healing the spirit requires you addressing all of your wounded identities and then learning how to transform them, because all of them are lead and they are dead weight and they are consuming you like vampires or leeches. And then the body begins to decay. Sorry, the body begins to be drained. And then we get older, more physical symptoms show up. Once you address these wounded identities, the idea is becomes an alchemical process, because it is a spiritual process. The idea is to transform these wounded identities. All of them are lead. And the idea is to learn how to transform them, heal them. That's why we talk about healing the inner child. When you heal them, you transform them from lead into gold. And then you integrate them, and then boom. Purpose is to achieve a new sense of wholeness. And until we address these wounded identities of the spirit, the body, we're just pity paddling and we're not really addressing anything. And some of them are very difficult to look at. Some of them requires us to go to places we don't want to go, requires us to accept certain truths that we don't want to accept, to do certain things, they require certain tasks. So these identities must be transformed. And this is part of healing the spirit, okay? So, this may explain some of the unexplained physical ailments that accrue over time, even though you're compliant, okay? So for some of you, I have patients who are across the board, they're following that pyramid and they are super compliant. They're great patients. And even them, they weren't healing. And I got really frustrated. What I started to notice on the table was that certain patients, they start to have flashbacks on the table because the body keeps score, correct? Right? Let me stop screen share real quick. So the body keeps score, right? So when the body keeps score, all of the memories are stored within the body. So if something happened to you at age 3, right? If something happened to you at age 9, and let's just go to the extreme things, okay? Let's talk about sexual trauma. So if you had sexual trauma at age 9, age 5, well, all of that memory is stored within the body. That version of you, that 5-year-old, is still trapped in the body. And you get to a certain age where there's less life force, then that 5-year-old remembers that moment or those moments in time, carrying that same physiological memory. And when it's time for you to heal, the physical symptoms blow up. And now you have all these physical symptoms out of nowhere. And it's not out of nowhere. The soul, the spirit says, hey, it's time to heal this. And then all these physical symptoms show up from that time. So the body's storing all these memories. And we can keep addressing the symptoms. But if we don't address the inner child, if we don't address the wounded identity, all we're doing is scratching the surface, and all we're doing is providing symptom relief, and we're never really achieving healing. Okay? Sorry, I get heated because look, on the table when I treat patients, they may not know that there is some form of sexual trauma, but at the moment they're on the table, the moment we put needles in, here's what happens, okay? So here's the incarnate soul, here's you, the physical avatar, here's the higher soul. When I do acupuncture, When you come and get acupuncture from me, or you learn Qigong from me, or you do some form of a spiritual practice, what we're doing is we are connecting to the higher soul. Okay? When you begin to connect to the higher soul has a higher frequency of light, of God, of creator, of source. The physical avatar is of this earthly realm, dense. When we do this work, right? When we strive to achieve healing for the soul's journey, I connect you, should you be receptive enough for healing to happen, through the acupuncture, through the Qigong, I connect you to your higher soul. Okay. Then on the table, you'll have flashbacks, or you'll have conversations, or you'll speak to your higher self, or your higher self will speak to you. It's not me. I don't have that kind of power. If I do, I'd be in the minds of many politicians. I'm just saying. But and a lot of people, man, I'd be messing with people for sure. Just straight up sorcerer supreme on everybody. But for the sake of this, conversation, when I connect to you, or you connect to your higher source, your higher self, that's when information starts to show up. Anything within you that is lower in nature, all the lower frequencies within you, they begin to slough off and come forward. And so patients will have flashbacks on the table. Patients will remember childhood memories. Patients will begin to have remember as to what's caused their depression. Remember as to what caused their digestive issues. Whatever physical ailments it is, it doesn't matter. What matters is that when this connection happens, it spews out all the things which are lower frequency in nature, which is ungodly, which is not part of the higher self. And this is part of that purification process. Okay. And this is one of the reasons why people aren't healing. And then now here's the thing. For some patients, when they come in and they have that experience and they see the flashbacks on the table and then they deny it, good luck. Yeah, you can't. When you connect to your higher source, your connection, and they tell you, hey, this is what you need to do. And if you don't do it, then the physical symptoms, they come back double. Yeah. So to encourage folks to be receptive to and it takes time, right? This is getting heated. All right, so let me go back to screen share. All right. And this is why we need to heal the spirit. Okay. The body conscious has its own plan for healing. The soul wants to heal. The idea is to heal the body, to remember why you're here, to remember why you decide to incarnate on earth, to remember the soul's plan, right? And there are lots of experiences that we have as individuals, from small to big. And yeah, over the years, they just recognize that if we don't address these issues, if we don't make changes, then the body just will continue to stay the same. We will continue to get older. And then these wounded identities will continue to drain life force from us, making the symptoms worse and worse and worse, leading to things like Alzheimer's, dementia, all kinds of cognitive issues, fatigue, digestive issues, right? Because why are they doing that? Because they're consuming life force. And when they consume life force, what do we have cravings for? For sugars, for fats, for salts, because these are quick fixes. And then when we consume these things, we gain weight, because the emotional weight, I'll say it like this, okay? Because physical weight is emotional weight. Okay? So physical weight is emotional weight. there are plenty of patients who come through and then they're trying to lose weight and they're doing all the things. Don't get me wrong, 100%. They know more about it than I do. And then I'm just like, okay, great. Looks like you checked up all the boxes. Have you worked on healing and emotions? And the moment they decide to engage into healing inner child or wounded identities, the moment they engage, right, the pounds just fall off because physical weight is emotional weight. You heal the emotions, you drop the physical body of those dense motions, and then the body will follow suit. Okay? How's everybody doing? Sorry, like getting all pastor like up in here. Okay, next thing. Okay, so again, so this is why I this foundation is important for healing to occur. You have to have your nutrition, you have to have your physical activity, you have to have mental fortitude or an attitude of gratitude. You have to practice forgiving yourself and practicing forgiving others. You have to have a spiritual practice or spiritual awareness, aware of what kind of thoughts am I surrounded in? What kind of thoughts are influencing me? Is my self-talk positive or is it negative? Is my inner coach just a horrible dictator, or is my inner coach somebody who's positive, influencing me to do and encouraging me to do more good things, right? And then, of course, there's the detoxification, and then there's biohacking. All right. So the body conscious. So if I were to ask you, oh yeah, I already talked about this. But if I were to ask you whether if you remember the facial features of your ancestors, you would have no idea. Yet your cellular memory remembers those features and placed them onto you. Okay. And then here's a book, because sometimes for some of us, there are certain, this is where I'm gonna I'm gonna veer off a little bit on this topic, but for some of us, we are already working through our things, but then we start to look at genetic predispositions, right? So there's a book called It Didn't Start With You. Great book. It talks about how inherited family trauma shapes who we are and how to end the cycle. And this is a great book. For those of you trying to understand trauma, definitely get this book. All right. Now, why did Ed bring this up? Okay. To veer off a little bit. Now, for some of us as souls, when we come here, we volunteer, right? Volunteer meaning, all right, as a soul, I volunteer. I'm going to go down to this family, this line of ancestors, and I'm going to end and break this endless cycle of suffering. So you'll see certain families with a series of alcoholism, depression, gambling, drug addiction, incest, cancer, all of these things. And you'll see being passed down through the genetic code for forever, right? The sins of our fathers. And so some of us as souls, we volunteer to come here and to break those chains, to break those cycles, to break those loops. And so some people, where they are born, or they incarnate into earth in order to break these cycles. And so they have the most, oh, I bless your hearts, man. Like I'm one of them. Okay. We're the chosen ones. We come here to break the code, to free not only ourselves of the code or the genetic predispositions, but when we free yourself, you free the ancestral line. And then it doesn't pass down. And this is why this book, It Didn't Start With You. Definitely check it out if this is you, because this veers off a little bit, but I want to address that for some of you guys, because you can look at breast cancer, prostate cancer, all of these things that just pass down through the bloodline. and I want to share this real briefly because this is how it came to me. I don't know if I put it on the talk here, but what was shown to me was that, here's what they said to me. Peng, diseases are character flaws within the genetic code. Now, let me say that again. Right? Diseases are character flaws found within the code, meaning that the disease has an originating point. It's a character flaw. The disease actually leads to more character flaws. You correct the character flaw, you correct the code, which means that you have to be hyper vigilant and very self-aware as to why you believe the things you believe, why are you acting in the way that you act, and then observe yourself outside of yourself in order to break the code. It requires a hyper level of self-awareness, and you have to observe yourself outside of yourself in order to see what kind of codes are working through you, what kind of belief system, what kind of thoughts. Why do you do this? Why do I do that? Well, when Peng's around these groups of people, why does my avatar Peng believe this? Why does my avatar Peng say that? And when you take time to observe yourself in the act of those unconscious behaviors, that's how you break the code. First is self-awareness. You become self-aware, you mark them down. Like I have a dry erase board of all my character flaws. There's a long list and it's kind of growing. Luckily, some of them I'm crossing off, but it is what it is. And started noticing, especially at family events, right? When you guys go to Christmas and then you go to Christmas, and I'm just like, oh dang, there's a whole lot of things. I'm being triggered, like a lot. Those are the codes that you have to observe within yourself because they've been passed down not only through the code, through the genetic material, you inherited character flaws, right? Okay. So again, diseases are character flaws found within the genetic code, the sins of our fathers. So until you change and correct your character, the disease will not go away. The dis-ease will not go away. Okay. So and this is why we need to heal the spirit, right? So from here is just right from children, all the experiences that you've experienced throughout life, all the different traumas, all the different perspectives, changing school, whatever the case may be, all the different belief systems that you have, the philosophical positions that you take, political stances that you take on. And then up here is all of the ancestral stuff that's passed down through the genetic code. I'm over time. I hope everybody's okay. Okay. For those of you have to go, just feel free to go. I'm going to continue. And this is why we need to heal the spirit. Each of these perspectives, all of our perspectives, whether it be political, religious, the way you grew up, thoughts about yourself, all of these things, if they're negative, they are consuming and leaching your life force, draining you and depleting you over time. And then when you begin to engage in the purpose of life, which is character development, then you will begin to untangle yourself and free yourself. And then less of this life force will begin to be drained, right? So when we heal the spirits, right? So this is how I came up with this. It's just heal the spirit. I didn't come up with it. I received it. Let's just be specific. Let's be accurate. Heal the spirit and the body will follow suit. So when we take time, to follow the pyramid, we take time to look at ourselves. Who in here is influencing me? Where are the invisible strengths? Which one is consuming my vitality? Which ones are negative? Which ones are positive? Well, that's negative. Let's do that. Right? And when you do, you start taking the actions, developing the self-awareness to recognize when these thoughts, these belief systems, these patterns start to show up within you, conscious, unconscious, subconscious. Start undergoing character development. and things begin to change and shift. Okay. So when we heal the spirit, the body will follow suit. Okay. Okay. So the divine plan, right? So when this was shown to me, this was mind blowing. Um, there is a plan to why we're all here on this planet. There is a divine plan. Okay. So none of this is, yeah, I'm a bag on the, I'm going to ruffle some feathers, but I don't care. There are a lot of people who talk about spirituality and they're talking about, oh, we're all here to just spread love and light. No. Yes. And we're here to become, we're here to become best versions of ourselves. The purpose of life is basically you, the physical avatar, the higher self, the higher soul. You weed out all of the character flaws, all the low frequencies, all the low densities within you, in order to absorb and to embrace the higher soul. And eventually you achieve union, or what they refer to as yoga. When the physical avatar achieves union with the higher soul and you become ideal, then you've finished the mission. Okay? So the divine plan. So the body conscious is very much so connected to spirit. The spirit has its own curriculum for healing that supersedes any conscious effort. All right? You can try to chisel away at certain things from therapy or from from inner child work or from shadow work or whatever it is that you intellectually approach healing. The body will have a supersedes anything that you plan. The body will show you, again, the body is a tuning fork of the divine. The body will instigate symptoms. And then when you have a spiritual practice or a spiritual connection, you will begin to understand what pieces you need to work on next. And so we have to learn how to listen to the body. Okay, so unlearned lessons are kept in the body via pain, physical symptoms, mental disorders, etc. They continue to draw life force and get more dense as we age. The very act of healing yourself heals all of those who came before you. And here's what I've recognized over the years. Healing has very little to do with medicine and everything to do with character development. So when you pursue the things that are uncomfortable, when you are able to look at yourself honestly and reflect upon why you're here, what are you here to do, what obstacles do you have to go through, what obstacles do you have to go through in order to access the gift of heaven and bring that gift of heaven onto earth. When you go through the obstacles and you learn all these things, this is part of the character development. And that's how we individually bring heaven onto earth. Okay? Okay. So if you're seeking healing, you must transcend your current identity and your current character. You can't stay the same. If you choose to stay the same, then the physical ailments and the physical structure, the physical stuff just keeps coming back. And they won't go away. All we're doing is you're just keeping them in check, and it's just for health maintenance, and that's really it. But if you're looking to achieve healing, you must evolve your character. Okay? So the divine plan. The soul's purpose is to observe and break free from the loops and or cycles of our ancestors. Every action and or behavior omitted, conscious, unconscious, from our parents, biological or non-biological. So the idea is you're here to break loops, right? Like we're all essentially, I mean, if you look at the cycle of reincarnation, if you look at cycles and loops, everything, like for example, Groundhog Day is the perfect example. The movie Groundhog's Day, right? He's repeating the same day over and over and over again until he is perfect, until he becomes ideal. And then from there, then he breaks free from the cycle. And that's how we, as physical avatars, break free from the loop. You choose to become the best version of yourself every day. As difficult as it may be. Okay. Because it is difficult, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes there's some people that deserve to be punched in the throat. But I'll leave that for a different discussion. Okay. So we must see these behaviors within ourselves and break free. The simulation that we're living in can be referred to as the waking dream. So wake up, right? So when they told me that this was the waking dream, I want you to sit and think about that for a little bit. This is the waking dream, right? They didn't say wake dream. This is waking dream, meaning that you have to continually make efforts to wake up every day, waking up. Okay. So wake up, right? Wake up from the waking dream and free yourself from suffering and the endless cycles of reincarnation. Wake up, everyone. Wake up from the waking dream and let light and love spread throughout the entire earth and bring your gift of heaven onto earth. Go through the obstacles, bring your gift of heaven onto earth. Don't forget, this is the soul's plan. Remember. Okay? And then there's the divine message number 5. We are the AI of the physical realm. Right? Everything we learn as a human being, as in having a human experience, as a spirit having a spiritual being having a human experience, everything we learn, we grow, evolve. When we leave the physical body, we take all the information back up to help evolve the higher soul. And then also we help evolve all of the collective consciousness, or at the same time, we help evolve creator. And that's what we are, some form of artificial intelligence. Okay. And then healing is feminine. So I already talked about this, but again, you move one thing and everything else moves with it. It's not a car and car parts. No, everything is a complex, entangled web of information. Okay. So we're going to look at why you're not healing, because there's a lot of times, this is a book by Carolyn Miss. Great. She was the first person to ever talk about why people don't heal, because this was one of the things that I was looking at. I was like, why aren't people healing? Right. So show this book, Why People Don't Heal, how they can. Okay. So first is, and I added a couple things into my list. First is, you're not following the pyramid. Okay. Are you eating right? Are you exercising? Do you have a positive attitude? Are you practicing forgiveness? Do you have a spiritual practice? You view disease as strictly a physical manifestation. It's not. It is, and at the same time, it isn't. You have a victim mindset. Okay. There's a woe is me, everything is against me. Yeah. That perspective doesn't allow you to heal at all. Right now, I'm telling everybody, if you have a victim mindset, you're not going to heal. View your perspective and your situations, no matter how difficult they may be, from the soul's perspective, as a part of the soul's evolution. I know, I get it. I've been through some things. Man, I've been through some things. And the thing that kept me sane and the things that kept me in a positive spirit is to view it from the soul's perspective. And when I did this, it allowed me to change perspective. Okay. So you're not a victim. This is part of the soul's plan. Okay. For some of you guys, I've just totally felt people get triggered. That's okay. It's okay. Don't send your hate mail just yet. Just Sit with it for a little bit, okay? Ooh, I felt some daggers. All right, next thing. Not receptive or undergoing character development. Okay? You have to pursue character development in order to receive healing. Okay? And then the last one here, and Carolyn Miss has another couple. This book is better. You just read a book. You view your disease as your identity. Okay, so I want to address this real quickly. When people talk about their disease, they say, "Oh, my cancer." Observe how you are unconsciously using language around your dis-ease. If you say, "This is my cancer," there's some form of the language that you're using is ownership of something, right? Instead, I'd encourage you to use language as, "I'm going through cancer. I'm going through this experience. I'm having this experience." The moment you take it and it becomes part of your identity. So if you go somewhere and say, "Oh, I am, I am pain," I, yeah, right. This is where it gets a little finicky but the moment you have your dis-ease completely tied to and conflated with your identity, then healing won't happen. Okay? So do your best to use language surrounding your dis-ease separate. Okay, I can't overemphasize that enough. Use language that separates you from your dis-ease. Okay? And then here are 3 other books that I definitely recommend when you're not healing to definitely check out. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza, Beyond Victim Consciousness by Lynn Forrest, and then The Mountain Is You by Brianna West. These 3 books, great books. Okay. Much of the reason why you're not healing is how you speak to yourself, how you think, what you believe in. And when you can take time to really look at yourself and see that the mind has a mind of its own, then you can achieve healing. Okay? Oh, okay. Just this is just look, I'm a regular, as far as I'm concerned, I'm a regular dude. Okay. So this is me trying to burn calories while putting on calories. There's just some funny pictures. Um, I want to show this because when I tell patients, this is what I used to look like, okay? When I tell patients like, "Hey, look, in order for this to go away, I need you to take a look at these. I need you to look at eliminating foods. These are the foods I want you to eliminate." And they kind of look at me up and down like, "Yeah, what do you know about losing weight?" And I was like, "Man, hold on. Okay, hold on. Here are some pictures, proof. This is evidence. Okay, this is me at my absolute worst." Yep. What kind of sit-ups? I don't know. And there's a picture of me eating calamari like a pelican. Don't even need to swallow. No need, just straight up swallowing. No chewing needed. Just right down the gullet. This is me drinking beer out of a paper bag, real classy, right? And this is my absolute favorite: me drinking beer underwater. Don't ask me how I did it. Takes art and skill, but that was me. So look, the point I'm trying to make with this showing these pictures is like this. It took a lot for me to get here. Yeah. I have to observe all the behaviors and thought patterns that are influencing my poor behaviors, my poor choices in life, all the poor decisions that led to my health issues, all of the things I had to observe myself, right? And when doing so, that's when things started to change. And I had to observe myself in such a way and demand more of myself in order for me to become more ideal. And this is the soul's purpose. to become one with the higher soul, to become one with God, to become one with all. And then this is me now. I'm not gonna leave this. Whatever. So, but I've been working at it. Just you can take from before to now. It's just a tremendous amount of effort. Yeah, don't worry about it. All right. And we're gonna move on. So, single ladies, don't worry about it. I am taken. Yep, I have a short little brunette cutie with the long wavy hair. So please don't slide to my DMs. She's gonna get me in trouble. And then there is, so here's a picture of Chicken Little, right? So I'm telling everybody that the sky is falling, all right? And there's a picture of me. All right, sorry. Let's stop screen share. Okay. So the picture of the Chicken Little, all right? Here's what's happening right now, okay? If you're any bit sensitive, I want everybody to listen up, okay? If you're any bit sensitive, something big is happening. Very big, okay? Heaven is beginning to descend upon earth. Heaven is beginning to descend upon earth. As heaven begins to descend upon earth, it brings the higher self, the higher soul. Those who choose to not become more ideal will be crushed by their denseness, will be crushed by the unlearned lessons. So, just like Chicken Little, the sky is falling. And with it, it is bringing down the higher soul. If you do not work on eliminating negative patterns and behaviors and cleansing and purifying yourself, you will be crushed by your decisions. This is my message. It's not a fun message. We're going to see a lot of calamities in the upcoming days, in the upcoming years, as this begins to happen. You either choose to become ideal or not. So I want to prepare as many people as possible. Want to encourage you to become more ideal, to remember the soul's plan. The obstacles in front of you are the lessons. It is the lesson plan. To heal the spirit requires you becoming more ideal. Go back, transform every version of yourself. If you can't forgive somebody, that's okay. You just need to forgive them internally. You don't need to go and say to them that you forgive them. All of these things along the pyramid, start working on them, right? And then it will allow you to start to transition with what is coming. It's coming, and it's coming fast, and it's coming hard. Okay? As this begins to happen, as heaven begins to descend upon earth, all the lower frequencies within you, all the character flaws will begin to make themselves known. They will take head of a household. And then physical elements will continue to balloon and worsen over time. Because more light is descending, more light is being spread, exposing a lot of the darkness within you, the darkness within everyone. So we are upon a great awakening. And I really want to encourage people to understand that, hey, the soul has a plan. Don't forget the plan. Don't forget the plan. Remember, in order to do these things follow the pyramid, practice forgiveness, be good, put out more good. Now, here's the thing. As heaven begins to descend, what's happening is also you begin to see a karmic acceleration. Because making this practical. If you have a victim mindset and you're blaming everyone else other than yourself and not taking any kind of responsibility for your own decisions, you will continue to, as karma accelerates, and if you're putting out more bad, you're going to get more bad back. As heaven begins to descend, if you're putting out more good, you're getting more good back, and you become more in alignment. So choose to become more ideal, okay? All right. I don't know how to say these things, but I know that I'm not the only one. I've been following lots of people, and anybody who is any bit sensitive, you can already sense it happening. It's happening. You're having dreams. Life around you is starting to get interesting. You're picking fights out of nowhere. People are picking fights with you. Relationships are falling apart. Finances are crumbling. Health issues are starting to show up. It's because as heaven begins to descend upon earth, it's highlighting the three pillars that will instigate character development. If you choose to not undergo character development, then these pillars will be chopped away at, and then it's going to be no bueno. Okay. All right, and I'm gonna leave it with this article that I wrote, and then I'm gonna talk about some of the services that I'm offering. Okay. So this is an article that I wrote a while back for the Edge magazine. It's called "Awakening is Not for Everyone." Okay. So awakening is not for everyone. So regardless of what the gurus or certified life coaches are selling to you, a true awakening is messy. It's raw, honest, vulnerable, profound, and not as wonderful or blissful as many make it out to be. Nor is it a virtue signaling, hand-waving, spiritual meme posting, look at me, I'm spiritual and you don't understand my suffering attempt to call attention to yourself or seek external validation from others. No, it's far from that. It's a complete teardown of the identity in which you've constructed for others to see in the exchange for who you were meant to be, a higher purpose, a higher calling, a deep and profound awakening. A true awakening is not a changing who you are, but a process of discarding who you are not. An honest self-reflection of who you are, an honest self-reflection of your propensity to entertain the darkness within. It's a process of unbecoming to become. It is a process of aligning who you are currently with who you are meant to be divinely. The higher self, divine self, ideal self, or eternal self. In your true God or goddess-like form, embodied within this physical vehicle. A true awakening is the beginning of an identity crisis. You will experience much suffering before this can occur. And few, very few, have the tenacity to answer the call. If you're reading this article right now, perhaps you are being called. But remember this, you're not special. Many are called, but few are chosen. And here's the secret. No one has the ability to choose you but you. Your daily actions, habits, and routines determine your capacity for the calling. You choose you daily through removing habits which aren't in alignment with your highest self. The whole of your identity is composed of a community of identities. And as you embark upon a genuine awakening, identities within you, which hold the lowest of frequencies, will become more pronounced, unconsciously affecting your main identity and therefore affecting your character. And your job, if you so valiantly choose to accept the call, is to embark upon a journey which requires the destruction of the ego, the self, and let go of all perceptions of who you are currently for an opportunity to align yourself with your highest self or highest purpose. You must be valiant and remain vigilant, and your character flaws will make themselves known every step of the way. This is a daunting task, that's for sure. This is healing, my friends. And it doesn't occur overnight. It can't be found in the next book. It can't happen after 3 weekend workshops. It sure as hell can't be made into a certificate which can be handed out. No human being can validate how far you've come except for you and your higher power. However, you'll need to be surrounded by like-minded individuals individuals who've already paved the way, individuals who are pursuing their truth, their purpose, and who are willing to shift out of the victim mindset and into a growth mindset. This is a red pill moment for those of you who are ready. I'm tired of handing out blue pills. I've been handing out blue pills for years. And frankly, I'm sick of it. If you want to play it safe, stay comfortable, and live in certainty, keep dabbling, taking classes, drifting, and gathering as many certificates as you can to appease yourself with outside external validation. Pop your blue pills and go back to what you know to be true, because you're not ready for what I have to offer. I say this with love, unapologetically, but with love nonetheless. But for those who are ready for the red pill, know this: there are multiple red pills along the way. And with each breakdown, which will lead to your breakthrough, you will have to decide what kind of truths you are ready to face. But more importantly, more valiantly, which truths you are ready to swallow, and how much of truth you can hold down. The breakdowns will be hard, hurtful, painful even. Cognitive dissonance will be your normal. And there will be times where you will hate me, spite me, curse me even, shake your fist and ask why. This wasn't the awakening that you wanted, but this will be the awakening that you needed. My name is Peng Ron He. I'm a licensed acupuncturist, medical intuitive, and master Qigong. I've been studying martial arts, Qigong, and meditation since I was 13 years old. More importantly, I've been studying myself. And man, Peng has many flaws. It's not easy. It was never easy. And it will never be easy. But it is simple. And I've given myself the title of master out of necessity, not out of clout or a sense of entitlement. For years, I've been pulling my punches, watching the suffering continue due to misinformation from well-intended people, vilifying and censoring myself in an attempt to not ruffle feathers or challenge the ideas of others. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. My voice is now needed more than ever, and for those of you who have been waiting for me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it took so long, but I'm ready now. True transformation requires honest self-reflection and nothing less. It's go time, and I've been waiting for you too. Grab an acupuncture session from me and get a taste for what's to come. And if you're hungry for more, my next Qigong class starts at the end of March. Another Qigong class? No. It's not just another series of exercises or tricks to move energy. Classes like that are a dime a dozen. What I'm offering you is a series of exercises which will lead to a series of transformations. The transformations can be earth-shattering, so come prepared. Not everyone is ready for what I have to teach, even those who think that they're ready. If my choice in words and execution rubbed you wrong, good. That was intentional. It lets you know that I'm not going to be your cup of tea. However, if my execution perked you up and got you excited, good. You're my ideal client. I've been waiting for you. More rather, you've been waiting for me. Let's not waste our precious time anymore. There's much to do. Let's rapidly move out of suffering and into healing. I can't heal you. No one can. No one can but you. However, I can align you to your higher source, and I can show you the door, but you must walk through. Let's stop talking about healing and actually start doing it. Multiple red pills lie on your weight. It's go time. Okay? Frankly, I'm tired of talking about healing. It's time to do it. Found the solution. Until we heal spirit, the body will not follow suit. Heal the spirit, the body will follow suit. Okay? So here's what I'm offering. So here's what I'm offering. My Qigong class is a 10-week course. It's all online, and we meet live on Zoom every Tuesdays. It's going to start the last week of March, and it's a 10-week course. It's not a series of exercises just to practice and move Qi. No, it is a purification process. The exercises will each week will drip out content. Week 1 will drip out content. Week 2 will drip out content. Week 3, week 4, week 5. It's a series of exercises which leads to a series of transformations. The exercise will help purge and cleanse the body, and you will become more sensitive to your thoughts, your emotions, and the physical body. From there are different stages. First is cleansing and purifying. So we cleanse and purify the body. Once we cleanse and purify the energetic body is just like your physical body. The energetic body is your spirit body. So you can do nutrition, you can do all these other things, but if you don't heal or cleanse or purify your energetic body, you're not cleansing your spirit body. So if you take showers and you eat and you take a bath, the energetic body needs the same thing. The energetic body needs to cleanse and eat and move and open up. Every week will lead to a series of transformations. We move and cleanse and purify the energy. Then from there, we begin to gather the energy and bring the energy into the body, the life force into the body to help build the body and build and strengthen the spiritual body or the energetic body. From there, then you will become more aware of all the thoughts, of all the emotions that are trapped within the body, trapped within the mind, that are contributing to your lack of healing. But you have to be prepared. My Qigong class, I'm not selling it. And this is my warning. Okay? The article is the warning to my class. Okay? How many people have a warning label to their Qigong class? Nobody. I do. Okay? If you're ready to do the work, take my class. I can show you the way. If you're not ready to work, don't take my class. It's going to be a shit show. You got to be ready to go all in. So it's not a class where you take a certificate, nothing like that. No, this is you either all in or all out. This will lead to transformation and things that you didn't know about yourself, you will begin to know about yourself. Okay? That's that. I'm going to be hanging around for a little bit if you guys have questions. If I'm feeling good, I'm probably going to do another talk or lecture or demonstration on Qigong probably in 2 weeks where we meet in person and I'll show you some of the different techniques. That will also be free, but it will be in person, geared towards in person. It depends on how I'm feeling. But anyways, I'm here. And if anybody has any questions, first of all, thank you everybody for coming in and listening to what I have to share. I truly appreciate that you are definitely interested in what it is that I have to offer here. This is how we heal the spirit. This is how we heal the spirit. It's very complex, but if you choose to do this kind of work, there's no dabbling. Okay. All right. Oh my gosh, that's intense. Love everybody. Y'all okay? I'm not. But okay, I'm here for questions if anybody has any questions. And then for those of you guys that have to go, thank you for participating. This will be recorded. I'll put it up on the YouTube soon. All right, I'm not checking. Okay, no questions? No questions? All right. The class, I'm gonna put the link. Actually, here, let me see it right now. Class is gonna be 6:30. Let's do it like this. I'll put it in the chat here. Nope. Alina, how can I something's going on with the chat here.
Um,
I can't.
Send it to me.
do.
Send it to me and I'll find a way to post it into the chat for everyone. Like, if you can. Signal maybe. Or email.
Oh, there we go. There we go. I put it. There's the link to enroll in class. It's a 10-week course. We meet on Tuesdays, Central Standard Time, 6:30 to 7:30. And then there's going to be maybe 1 or 2 Tuesdays where my kids got graduation and whatnot. So we're going to change the date on that. But yeah, that's it's gonna be evenings. Yeah, Tuesday evenings, 6:30 to 7:30. Now with the course, there's going to be, once you log in and you decide, if you decide to enroll, you do get to join into a private Facebook group. All the live classes will be recorded, and then we'll post those videos onto the private Facebook group for you to review. The big thing is, I want to provide community for folks who are embarking upon this journey. Most of my life, I had no one. I had to figure it out on my own. And I understand just how much having somebody to kind of guide you through the process. The Qigong I teach is a spiritual practice, not a Qigong exercise practice. Again, it is a spiritual practice. So your reality will shift if you are disciplined enough and you are sincere enough to do this practice. And you'll learn a lot about yourself. Yeah. And we'll talk about it. Yeah. So everybody's okay? Any other questions? Yeah, question? Okay, here, let's do that. I'll yeah, there you go,
Okay.
Ron, go ahead. Yep,
You can hear me?
I can hear you. Yep.
All right. Well, Peng, thank you for the presentation, I guess, on spiritual development. Here's my question. I was looking at your website and I saw you had testimonials. And so I've started listening to some of the testimonials. And I've listened to maybe 4 of them, and they're all people are very complimentary towards you, and they say the health benefits they've got, improving tennis elbow, mental clarity, various things. And so here's my question. I thought the conversation today that you're presenting about spiritual development of each of us and the soul and so on, I didn't hear any of those people talk about that part of it. And that just got me a little puzzled.
Yeah, that's okay, because I'm rebranding.
That's what?
Yeah, I'm rebranding.
Okay.
Some of the physical issues that begin to show up within the body aren't necessarily just all purely physical. Some of them, so if you had a slip and fall, that's a purely physical symptom, right? But then something that are more chronic in nature, something that tends to show up, appears, comes and goes, and or some things will show up because of a certain life circumstance, right? I just have to kind of pick, but because there's so many things I'm trying to, my head is running through the Rolodex of things, but sometimes it's, once you can change some of the behaviors, then depending on what it is that you're bringing in, some of these issues start to pop up. Sorry, my head is just thinking about, and I'm starting to fade a little bit. I've been overexerting my brain. Okay, so to answer your question, yes, I offer spiritual development coaching while people are on the table, because sometimes after they get the acupuncture, on the table, they'll have visions or insight or feedback, or they'll feel certain sensations on the table that they normally don't feel. And that will provide insight as far as to what their next moves should be. It's nothing that I'm encouraging. It's just, I'm just saying, hey, what did you get? Ask my patients, hey, what did you get? And they say, well, I got this. I'm like, okay, well then that's probably the thing you probably got to do. Yeah. And that's it. And then depending on what people decide to do with it is up to them. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the spiritual component is very much so a part of my me being comfortable with talking about it. For years, I've just been censoring myself.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
I really appreciate what you're sharing, and I'm interested, but I found myself saying, boy, I'm attracted to this and I'm also afraid.
Rightfully so, my friend. Here's the thing. People say, well, Pei, I'm so fearful. I was like, yeah, you should be. Yeah. So long as it's healthy. So long as the fear is healthy. Yes, we attracted these things. So, well, then you have to ask yourself the question, well, how did I get myself here? And what do I have to do to get myself out of here? Yeah. How do I move and mold myself into the next version of my character? Because who you are now comes with a subset of belief systems. And this applies for everybody. Yeah, so I'm speaking to everyone, including myself. This is the old Pei. Well, in order for me to achieve the new Pei, I have to look at what it is that I want. What do I want? Well, these are the things I want. Well, in order for me to get these things that I want, I need a new Pei. So the old Pei must go. I must birth a new Pei in order for me to get the things that I want. That's why it's death and rebirth. Over and over and over and over and over. Okay? That's healing. The rest of it is symptom relief, medications for life, and that's it. Stay the same. If you want healing, die. Born. Die. Rebirth. Death. Rebirth. Death. Rebirth. Every day. Every decision that you're making is leading towards your rebirth or not. So I get it. Yeah. That's why my article. And that's why I showed the pictures of me drinking beer underwater, because those are fantastic pictures, by the way. But straight up classy. But the idea is to show people, like, look, I was there. Parts of me still is. Yeah. So when we can look at ourselves and make decisions every single day to make changes, sometimes we just don't know how. That's all. But the moment you decide, then everything within the universe will begin to align to make it happen. When you decide, everything within the universe will align itself to make it happen, but you must decide.
Hmm.
Mhm. Okay. Any other questions? You're welcome, everybody. Yeah. Uh, Yeah. Yeah. It's either, yes, it's true. It's true. Either there's going to be suffering either way. You're going to either suffer and grow, and there's going to be lots of growth, or you're going to suffer miserably and then die. So, so which would you rather? I said, I'm suffering anyways. Might as well. Somebody said it, and I love it. They said, if you're already going through hell, keep going. I was like, yes, that's the truth. Just keep going. You're already in hell. Keep going. All right. If there are no questions, I'm gonna. All right. Assume. Start my answers. Assume you would not be in conflict with my current Qigong practices. Okay, now that's a good question. Okay, so today's question is that your conflict with other Qigong practices. I would say my Qigong set would enhance your practices as long as you're not doing internal practices. So if you're practicing Qigong and if you're asking about Qigong, of course, I'm going to assume that you know about whether your Qigong practices are internal or external, meaning the Waidan or the Neigong. So depending upon what your practices are, if you are practicing internal practices, where you're moving energy through visualization and simply sitting in meditation, the Neigong practices, then my Qigong practice is going to conflict. If you practice external practices, then my Qigong practice is going to be perfect. Yeah. But if you practice internal practices or Neigong practices, then I want you to pause. If you decide to take my class, I want you to pause on those Neigong practices, internal practices, until you've practiced my set and gone through the entire course. Once you've gone through the entire course and you purge enough of the stuff, and you go back and revisit your internal practices, you will experience a very different series of practices when it comes to your internal practices later on. And then there's also everybody who's ever taken my class. Yes, the practices are, anybody can do these practices. All of it is just standing. It's standing, staying stationary, and we're just standing, breathing, and moving the hands back and forth. Will this conflict with the Course in Miracles? I don't know what a Course in Miracles is. Sorry. But if you have a yoga practice and then you do my Qigong class and then you go back to yoga, if you stick to it, I can guarantee you your yoga is going to be different. You're going to feel things you haven't felt before. You're going to notice things. You're going to discover things that you didn't know were there. Because here's the reason why. My Qigong set is for cleansing and purification. You cleanse and purify yourself of the lower frequency, more dense energies, then you become more aware of all the more subtle things. You begin more noticing the higher frequencies that are flowing within the body, and energy begins to flow. And you go back to your yoga practice, it won't be the same. Yeah, I can guarantee you. Throughout the years, I've had people do 25 years of Qigong, 10 plus years of Tibetan Buddhism, 10 plus years of transcendental Buddhist meditations. And they come in to take my 10-week course. They come and take my 10-week course. They go through the course and they go back to their practices they've been practicing for all those decades, and it's different. Because this is why I give a warning, because this moves a lot of stuff. There's both good and bad with that. It moves a lot of stuff, and it moves a lot of stuff. That's why I put a warning to this. Yeah. Okay. So as long as you're guided, as long as you listen to what I have to say, I guide you through the process and you practice accordingly, you'll be fine. If you decide to do it on your own way, good luck. I'm gonna have to fire you from the course. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Does stuff like Kundalini, does it? Like Kundalini moves. All of it's going to be stationary. We're going to stand on our feet and then we shake and bounce and we move the body through. We're just coordinating breath and movement, placing the hands upon different energy centers, and then we move, coordinate inhaling versus exhaling according to the different movements. And it's very simple, but it's going to move a lot of stuff. Yeah. And so long as you follow the protocol, it's going to move a lot of stuff. Here's the thing. It's also going to make you, again, it's going to magnify and highlight some of the things in your environment, external or internal. It's going to highlight some of the things in your environment, external, internal, that are not within your frequency, not within this frequency. Yeah. How much time does it take to practice? 30 minutes, maybe. You can do it 15. Doesn't take that long. My set is very simple. It's very simple. It's very simple. Trust me. Yeah. I over the years, it's like this. Okay. I've learned so many different Qigong sets. I've learned so many different Kung Fu forms. Everybody, like, to practice one Qigong set would take like an hour or an hour and a half. Not only that, it would take maybe a year, 2 years to learn the entire choreograph. I don't got time for that. So what I did was I looked at all the different Qigong exercises practiced. I looked at how to simplify them. And so I cut out all the fat, cut out all the nonsense, and honed it down to just very bare essentials. Within Qigong, what do people all agree on? Well, people agree on these things. Nice. We'll stick to that. And I just made it very simple. So this set is a set, the formless form Qigong set is something that I put together. It's kind of a funny way of saying it, but I received and I'm now teaching. And when you practice it, it's very, very simple, straight to the point. And then the more you practice, the deeper you go, the more profound it becomes. This talk is 101 for all the things that I'm offering. This lays the foundation for what it is that I'm offering. This is the foundation. So this talk is 101. The Qigong class is 201. You learn everything from 201, which activates all the things that happen in 301. In 301, I can't teach you. 101, 201 activates 301. You begin to see the simulation for what it is. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah. Here, I'm gonna unmute you first, Ron. There you go. Can't hear you. I can't hear you, Ron.
Mute. Can you hear me
There you
now?
go. I can hear you now. Yep.
Are there options about how you'd start with you? For example, I could take the Qigong class, or is another option like I come in and see you with acupuncture, and then maybe I do that 2 or 3 times. We see where it goes, and not do the Qigong, or is like the Qigong a requirement to do acupuncture? What do you recommend?
The Qigong is not a requirement to do the acupuncture. You can come in and do the acupuncture as a standalone. If it depends on your calling, right? If you feel drawn or compelled to take the class, then you take the class, and then we can kind of go from there. But the acupuncture definitely supplements Qigong. So my Qigong students, when they come and get acupuncture from me, everything speeds up.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but when they do, yeah, but what acupuncture is different. It's just, but when you combine the two, it's dangerous. Good dangerous.
Okay. Glad you added the word good.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Sarah, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
So if I'm doing acupuncture during this, should I discontinue? Because I live in Oregon. I'm not close to you. So should I discontinue the acupuncture I'm doing?
Oh no, you can
Okay.
continue acupuncture.
Okay.
And in fact, it'll help. It'll help.
Okay. Yeah. And I don't think they're Neidong, but I teach Bhagwan Jin, I Ching, Shi Sui Jing, and I do some other forms. So those should not be in conflict.
Oh, those are fine. Those are fine.
Yeah. Or
It's
some
the,
traditional forms and some other.
yeah. Yeah, it's the other ones that I'm a little bit more concerned about. There's more of the Neigong that I'm a little bit more concerned about, where you're moving energy from, yes, those I avoid, especially with my set, because there's a tremendous amount of energy that comes through. We don't want a tremendous amount of energy moving through the channels in that way.
Okay,
We want
because
to keep it external.
I'm doing moving energy and meditation and small
you're moving
circular elevation and
okay, so those are okay. So small circulation or small microcosmic orbit, that one's okay. If you're doing certain things like Montek Chia has one that's called Fusion of the Five Elements, don't do that one.
yeah, no, okay.
Yep.
No, I don't think, yeah, my teacher's not doing that. So, okay, thank
Yep.
you.
You're welcome. Great question. All right, anybody else? Otherwise, okay. All right, I'm gonna call it. I don't see any hands raised. Unless you guys want to raise hands. Here, let me do this first to make sure, because I want to make sure, because people, even I myself, just to get, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, then that's it. Thank you everybody for participating today. Yeah. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yep.